know the feeling. Something happens, something small usually, something that in any rational accounting of what matters in a human life should register as completely trivial. And your face goes red, your eyes go down. You want, with a sudden and disproportionate intensity, to be somewhere else, to rewind the last 30 seconds, to exist briefly in a version of reality where that thing didn't just happen in front of those people. The coffee spills, the name comes out wrong, the door you confidently pushed was a pull. And for the next several minutes, sometimes longer, sometimes significantly longer, some part of your brain replays it, annotates it, considers how it was received, imagines the version of you that would have handled it better. No other animal does this. A dog that walks into a glass door shakes itself off and continues. A chimpanzee that slips in front of the group doesn't spend the afternoon reconstructing the moment and assessing its social consequences. The specific experience of embarrassment, the acute awareness of being negatively evaluated by others, combined with the internalized adoption of that evaluation, combined with the motivation to repair or escape the social situation, requires a cognitive architecture that took hundreds of thousands of years to evolve. And it is like crying and lying and falling in love, not a flaw. It is a feature, one of the most socially sophisticated features cognitive evolution ever produced. Start with what embarrassment actually is at the neurological level. Embarrassment is categorically distinct from shame, though the two are often confused. Shame is about who you are, a global negative self-evaluation triggered by a perceived fundamental failing. Embarrassment is about what you did, a specific, public, situational breach of social norms that you wish hadn't happened, but that doesn't implicate your core identity. The neurological distinction is real and measurable. Shame activates brain regions associated with self-concept and identity. Embarrassment activates the social evaluation system, the network of regions involved in modeling how others perceive you, predicting their responses, and calibrating your behavior to match social expectations. Embarrassment is, at its core, a social cognition event. It requires you to see yourself through someone else's eyes, and that, the ability to model another person's perception of you with enough fidelity to feel what they might feel about what you just did, is the product of theory of mind operating at a level of sophistication that no other species approaches. The physiological markers of embarrassment are specific and cross-cultural. Gaze aversion, looking down or away from the people who witnessed the event. A brief, controlled smile that researchers have described as appeasement, communicating, "I know this was wrong and I'm not a threat." Facial flushing, slightly hunched posture. These behaviors appear in recognizable form across every human culture studied, in populations with no contact with each other expressing embarrassment through the same behavioral repertoire. And researchers studying primate social behavior have found something remarkable. These same behaviors, in simplified form, appear in chimpanzees and other great apes in specific social contexts, moments of social transgression, failed dominance displays, situations where the animal appears to be managing the social consequences of having done something wrong. The rudimentary machinery is there, but in humans, cognitive evolution built something on top of it that transforms the experience entirely. What humans have that chimpanzees don't is the ability to simulate the other person's experience of the event, not just to notice that others are reacting negatively, to construct in real time a model of what they are thinking, what specifically they noticed, how they interpreted it, what impression it created, what they are likely to think of you now. This simulation, running automatically, beneath conscious control, producing its output as the visceral experience of embarrassment, is theory of mind applied to self-perception. You are using the same cognitive machinery that lets you understand other people to understand yourself as an object of other people's understanding. You are seeing yourself being seen, and the experience of that, the sudden, unwanted awareness of your own visibility, your own fallibility, your own gap between the self you intended to present and the self that just spilled coffee in front of everyone, is embarrassment. Here is why this matters evolutionarily. Human social groups are, by the standards of the animal kingdom, extraordinarily complex and extraordinarily high stakes. Reputation is a currency. How you are perceived by the people in your group affects your access to resources, mates, alliances, and protection in ways that have no real parallel in other species. A damaged reputation in a small, interdependent group can have consequences that compound over years, affecting who trusts you, who cooperates with you, who defends you when you need it. In this environment, a mechanism that monitors social performance in real time flags breaches of social norms immediately and motivates rapid repair behavior is not a luxury. It is a survival tool. Embarrassment is the alarm system for reputational damage. It fires when you've done something that others might use to update their model of you in a negative direction. And it motivates exactly the behaviors that social research shows are most effective at repairing that damage. The gaze aversion signals submission and non-threat. The appeasement smile signals awareness and accountability. The subsequent behavior change signals that the breach was situational, not characterological. Together, they communicate, I know what I did, I know it was wrong, I am not the kind of person who does this on purpose. Please don't update your model of me based on this one moment. And it works. Study after study on social perception has found that people who display visible embarrassment after a social transgression are judged more favorably than people who don't. Not in spite of the embarrassment, but because of it. The embarrassment itself is the signal. It demonstrates social awareness, norm internalization, and the motivation to maintain standing within the group, all qualities that matter in a highly interdependent social environment. The person who blushes is paradoxically more trusted than the person who doesn't, because the blush proves they care, and caring about the group's norms, about other people's perceptions, about the maintenance of social trust, is exactly what a small, mutually dependent group needs its members to do. This explains why embarrassment is so uncomfortable in a way that seems disproportionate to what caused it. The system isn't calibrated to the actual consequences of spilling coffee. It's calibrated to the potential consequences of reputational damage in a small group where reputation compounds over time. The coffee is trivial. What the coffee represents, a moment of visible fallibility in front of people whose opinion of you matters, is not trivial from the perspective of a social cognition system built for an environment where those opinions had real survival consequences. The alarm fires at the appropriate intensity for what it evolved to protect against. That it now fires over coffee and mispronounced names in a world where those things have no lasting consequences is the mismatch. The system itself is working perfectly. Your ancestors got embarrassed around fires in front of people they depended on in moments where the gap between intended and actual self-presentation was suddenly visible to everyone. They blushed and looked away and did the small social repairs that signaled awareness and accountability. And those signals worked. They preserved relationships, maintained trust, kept the group intact in the specific, fragile, mutually dependent way that small human groups require to function. The embarrassment was the mechanism. The social repair was the point. And 70,000 years later, when you push a door that clearly says pull and feel your face go red in front of strangers you will never see again, the same ancient mechanism fires because it doesn't know those people are strangers. It knows only that you were seen, and that being seen in the world it was built for was always worth paying attention to.